Welcome to the Fraser Moments podcast, where we explore the world of Fraser's hospitality, meet the teams, and discuss industry insights. We hope you enjoy, and please remember to subscribe. Hi everyone, and a little recap on what this podcast is about. Today is all about social media for the hotel industry. You'll learn some tips and tricks on how to stay relevant in social media. I would like to welcome Will onto the podcast. We've been working with Will for 2 years. He's our, I would say, social media guru and has transformed our online presence across the EMEA. Social media is really an exciting and ever-changing space. So in this episode, we will be talking mostly about algorithm changes, influencers, and trends for social media in 2020. So over to you, Will.
Thank you very much for the kind introduction, Valerie. I don't know if I call myself a guru, but that's nice, thank you. So a quick introduction about myself is I started my business Founders Media when I was back at university, so a few years ago now. Like you say, we've been working together for about 2 years, and we work together with several properties across the EMEA now, which is great, very interesting, and yeah, it's a pleasure.
Today we are going to speak about Instagram mostly. So it seems that Instagram rolls out a new version of its algorithm every few weeks. How do you keep up?
Yeah, so it does change. I think it changes actually every day technically, as well as Facebook and Twitter. They seem to change the algorithm every day multiple times. So it's pretty much impossible to keep up with every single in and out of the algorithm. But I honestly think the best way to keep up is reading and listening to social media news, social media updates, as well as pretty much doing the job. So when you're actually on Instagram itself, you can tell when the algorithm has changed. So for example, I think it was in June 2019 was probably the most drastic change we have seen. So pretty much every single Instagram business page, the reach halved.
Yeah, I remember
overnight.
that.
Yeah, so that was quite stressful from our point of view, but every single brand and page had that. And basically Instagram do it obviously to increase their profits, so that you are paying more therefore you're more likely to do a paid social campaign on Instagram, and that's why they do it. So it changes and you can notice that, but I think the sort of key principle is to just study what works well on your Instagram and obviously hone down on that.
Okay, so how can we, I think the audience might just want to know, what can we do to make sure that the algorithm is working in our favor?
I think it's about adopting your strategy quite often and making sure you're very flexible in your approach based on what changes. So like I say, if you know what's changing on the algorithm by what you see, what you study, then you need to adapt according to that. So for example, it used to be that you should post really often, and pretty much the more the merrier on Facebook and Instagram, but now it's not necessarily the case at all. So you need to see what changes and also study every single approach, whether it's your hashtags, the time you're posting, what exactly you're posting, your content strategy. You should sort of update that as it goes. And look at your analytics, see, like I say, what post does best, and see what time your audience is online so that it's adapting. And think of all these little tips. So it's sort of studying the area and making sure you're up to date with trends by listening to podcasts.
Okay.
Or reading
why
online.
not?
And doing
so is that fair to say? Is there any kind of golden rule on how often we should be posting?
I think in terms of the hospitality industry and for us at Fraser's, I don't think there's a golden rule per se, but I think there are, I think you should be posting at least 3 times a week on Instagram. We typically post 5 times a week. I think it's about posting most days, but equally important, it's about the quality of your content. So I'm a big fan of, it's better to post nothing than to post something that isn't good and that isn't fitting to your brand and what you're trying to achieve on Instagram.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
So it's definitely important to bear that in mind. So I think ideally, if you have the content, I would aim to post for hotels and hospitality sectors sort of 5 times a week. But then again, if you have an absolute ton of content, then post every day or more. Yeah, for sure. So, okay. But I think 5 times is a good aim on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, if not more on Twitter.
Okay. And when we do post, is there a kind of an ideal time for that?
So the best thing really is to, again, look at your sort of analytics, especially on the Instagram analytics or insights, it's called an Instagram section. It will say what time your audience is engaging with your post the most. So typically for us, that tends to be 3 p.m., 6 p.m., 9 p.m. But obviously that changes on Facebook versus Instagram, and it also changes per property, per account that you are on. I'd also definitely recommend posting just off around a time. So rather than posting at 3 p.m, post at 3:05 or 3:55, for example, because basically then Instagram think you are posting organically and they favour organic posts. So whilst they don't have a problem with you using software to make a post, they prefer you do it organically. So if you kind of make it look like you're posting organically, they will slightly favour your post for that reason as well.
Well, that's a great tip, so thanks for that. I just want to touch up on something else. There is the growth of video platforms such as TikTok. So does that mean that really Instagram is going to revert to static content in your view?
I don't think so personally. I think videos and images are treated the same on Instagram, and the algorithm has no bias in that sense. I think it depends on your brand, what you're trying to achieve, and it's more you should focus on the quality of the content. So whether it's the image or the video, is whichever's the highest quality, you should be focusing on sort of posting there. I think in terms of, obviously, like you say, TikTok is growing massively, which is video, and video is obviously great on social media and has its place. I think probably the biggest trend in terms of a form of content is audio, hence this podcast that we're doing. So yeah, I think, like that being said, video is obviously very popular and will always have its place, but I don't think there's a particular bias as to on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter whether you should post video or images. Obviously TikTok's a different scenario.
Yeah. What I've noticed is that I've seen a lot of brands posting longer captions now, so they seem to be becoming content in themselves. What's the trend there?
Yeah, I think longer captions can be great. I think if we talk about the hospitality and hotel world on social media, I think we typically post longer captions when we are trying to tell the story of the property. So you might say, for example, at Fraser, Kensington, you might say, you arrive in London's elegant Kensington and Chelsea area, you walk through the gates to find these fabulous flowers overlooking Stanhope Gardens. You could tell the story of a guest checking in, and then people can, basically that will create an emotional connection because they'll be able to visualise themselves along with the picture or the video you're posting in that environment. I think for stuff like that, it's great, and also destination posts. So one thing that's really popular we post is in this case about London. So at Fraser Kensington, we're 5 minutes from the Natural History Museum. So we could write a long caption about the Natural History Museum, its background, what you'll find there, really interesting stuff. And then we can say, oh, by the way, it's just 5 minutes walk down the road. So
makes sense.
In that example, a long caption is great. But that being said, typically on Instagram, we do see that a lot of short captions work well. So I think a lot of people, if you look at people on their phone, if you spot them on a tube or whatever, they're scrolling through Instagram so quick.
Yeah.
They often don't read the actual text. They just look at the picture or the video. So I think it goes back to see which has worked well for you in the past. It will vary on where you are based, your kind of account, your type of hotel or your type of business. Okay.
So I guess authentic content is key when we're posting, right, Will?
Yeah, and I think especially in 2020 we're going to see a shift of more authentic content on Instagram and all the other social channels. So if you were to take a picture of a hotel room or a hotel suite with the highest quality camera and the best editing in the world, it probably won't get much better engagements or as good engagements as if you literally got an iPhone, took a picture of the bellboy holding a nice bouquet of flowers smiling and posted that. I think that would get more engagement because it's authentic and it's genuine content. So that's not to say that high quality equipment isn't important and useful, because it definitely is, but I think authenticity is even more important in all forms of content on social.
Yeah, I think we've seen that through our engagement on post.
Yeah, definitely. It's something we've noticed over the months and years.
I think we've just covered quite a lengthy topic. Something that I just want to touch on briefly, because I think that we can record another episode just on that topic, but how can we navigate through the world of influencer marketing?
Yeah, we definitely could do another episode just on influencers. It's huge. So with influencers, we have micro influencers and just macro or normal influencers. So a micro influencer might be someone that has, let's say, 20,000 and less or fewer followers, whereas a macro influencer is pretty much anybody above that, or typically over sort of 50 to 100,000 followers on Instagram, we're talking in this case. So I think the biggest trend with influencers now is micro-influencers. So we have them with Fraser's, just with the hashtag Fraser Moments. If you have a guest sharing a post on Instagram, even if they have 100 followers, those 100 followers are probably their friends and family, and colleagues and whatnot. So those friends and family are more likely to be aware, therefore, of their stay at this Fraser property. Whereas a macro-influencer might not have that loyal, engaged following. So I think micro is the big trend which is going to continue in 2020.
Okay, how fascinating. I know that we've already touched on TikTok, but I'm fascinated by that platform. So what are your thoughts on the platform and what do you think it means for the hospitality industry?
I think, yeah, it's definitely really interesting to see what's going to happen with TikTok. The growth is massive. Every day I'm being reminded of that. And I think we can discuss separately what we're going to do about it. But, for hospitality right now and for a lot of industries, I think it's still a case of watch this space. And I mean, the main criticism of TikTok is that its audience is very young, so obviously it's not relevant really for a lot of hospitality brands. But that was also the case for Facebook and Instagram in the early days. That's like the lifespan of a social media channel tends to be that at the start the audience is very young and then it evolves. So I think it's, like I say, it's still a case of watch this space, but I think it's definitely wise that we sort of investigate.
Okay, brilliant. Exciting things ahead.
For sure.
Well, I think it comes to the end of our podcast on social media. So thanks, Will.
Thank you.
Again, send your questions to marketing.london at frasershospitality.com or reach out through our social channels. And we will ask our guest or share our thoughts in the next episode. So stay tuned for the next episode and don't forget to subscribe.